This is the song on the album. It's a true story. It happened to me. My best friend, my boyfriend got together. Wrote a song about it. Like to hear it? Here you go. Oh no, there's no way to begin or start love over. Oh no, love making will there be here tonight. Oh, 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 don't come crying on my shoulder. Should have thought about the consequences.
I want to thank you all for taking the time and viewing this video, and I want to do another installment of my entertainment series. This is like my 4th or 5th video, I believe. I did one on The Last Dragon, which is my favorite movie of all time. I did one on The Cosby Show, which I think is one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. And I did another video about the old classic NES system from the 80s. According to my t-shirt, you can see who the subject of this video is, and I want to get into it real quick. Toni Braxton was born in Severn, Maryland on October 7, 1967. She's currently 56 years old. The title of this video is this: How good is Toni Braxton actually? And I want to focus more on her debut album. The debut album was dropped July 13th, 1993. And it was produced by LaFace Records, you know, L.A. Reid and Babyface collaboration. Toni Braxton actually began her singing career in 1989 with her 4 sisters. The debut album, The Braxtons, with a hit called The Good Life. Now, The Good Life was a hit that it wasn't successful, but yet it garnered the attention of L.A. Reid and Babyface, and they recruited Toni Braxton around 1992 to do a demo for the song titled Love Should Have Brought You Home Last Night. And here's something that we need to consider. Love Should Have Brought You Home Last Night. That was one of the songs that was on the soundtrack from the movie Boomerang. Originally, that song was not written for Toni Braxton. It was written for Anita Baker. But because of Anita Baker's pregnancy at the time, she could not do the song. So thus we had Toni Braxton, who was given the song. Toni Braxton's father was a Methodist clergyman, and her mom was a former opera singer. Her maternal grandfather was a pastor. She's the oldest of 6 siblings. She has a college degree from Bowie State University. Prior to her debut album, right after a few years after she made the album The Braxtons with her sisters, prior to her debut album, along with the song Love Should Have Brought You Home Last Night, she did a duet with Babyface called Give You My Heart, which was also a track on the soundtrack from the movie Boomerang album. So in July 1993, her self-titled Toni Braxton debut, it had 5 hit singles: Another Sad Love Song, Breathe Again, 7 Whole Days, You Mean the World to Me, I Belong to You. And I believe each of these videos, or at least most of these hits, had videos that accompanied the song as well. She has 5 hits, and including the song Love Should Have Brought You Home from the Boomerang soundtrack as well. Her debut album sold over 5 million copies in the US alone and 10 million copies worldwide. It just goes to show you how much of an international success she was. With the debut album, it earned her some accolades. It earned her some awards. A 2-time Grammy Award winner, a 2-time American Music Award winner. She won a Grammy for Best New Artist. She won 2 for Best Female R&B Vocalist. And in 1993, 1994, she beat out some names as Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, and Anita Baker. So to just be in the game for a few short years and you beat out those iconic, you know, female R&B vocalists says a lot. And this is just her debut album. As I said earlier, someone mentioned that Toni Braxton's voice is described as hypnotic. Someone said that she's a hybrid of Anita Baker, Phyllis Hyman, and Tracy Chapman. Her sultry deliverance and when she gets on a higher note, she reminded someone of Whitney Houston. Her album debuted number 36 on the Billboard 200 in 1994. Her album debuted on the Billboard 200 at number 36. But after the 1994 American Music Awards, after she performed at the 1994 American Music Awards, her album it rose from number 7 to number 1 in the 31st week of the chart. And not only was she known for her singing, her fantastic singing voice, her sultry singing voice, she was also known for her acting as well. She appeared in the movie Kingdom Come, which was released in February of 2001. And that starred such great actresses as Whoopi Goldberg, Jada Pinkett, Vivica A. Fox, and Loretta Devine. Now, from a personal standpoint, I remember hearing Love Should Have Brought You Home somewhere in 93 or something like that. And I heard it on the radio. I think that was one of her first songs that was played on the radio, was Love Should Have Brought You Home. And of course, like I said, that song is on her self-titled debut album, but it's also a track from the Boomerang album as well. And when listening to that song, it was just like, I was just attracted to it right away. And a few weeks later, I was in 11th grade when I heard the song. It was in the fall of 93. And I didn't know who sung the song, to be honest. I didn't know who sung the song, but the song just resonated with me. The voice and everything, it just resonated with me. And I did not know who sung the song. And now this is before the days of the internet. And I couldn't Google search and find out who sung this song. I didn't even know the title of the song. I just kind of went by the lyrics in some way. And I remember I remember I was in Washington Heights and I went into Woolworth and I said, you know what, let me find this cassette. I couldn't afford the CD at the time. So I said, let me find the cassette. So I walked into Woolworth. I'm looking around. I'm looking in the R&B section. I find this album, Toni Braxton. She's with her short hair, her denim jeans. And, it's kind of funny because her short hair and being the fact that she was affiliated with the Boomerang soundtrack, and Halle Berry was also in the film Boomerang, I kind of got them confused. She kind of had that similar hairstyle to Halle Berry. And it's just interesting. But that song, Love Should Have Brought You Home, prompted me to buy that album. And I played that song and I played that song and I played that song. And then as time went on, I heard songs on the radio, 7 Whole Days and Another Sad Love Song and Breathe Again. And I'm like, this is some good stuff. And I said, this Toni Braxton album is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, I like the Michael Jackson Thriller album. I like Purple Rain. I like MC Hammer's second album, Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him. But this album right here was just something special. It not only did it have hits, but it had one of the most underrated songs on that debut album entitled Best Friend. It was a song in regards to on the 4th of July, and it's ironic it's the 4th of July today. Happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day to all. It's funny, on the 4th of July, she said her best friend and her man betrayed her. Her best friend and her man went out with her best friend, and she wrote a song about it. And it's such a very touching song. And one thing about Toni Braxton that kind of is a little bit different than, say, like Whitney Houston debut album, which is another favorite of mine, and Aretha Franklin's style, is that Aretha and Anita and Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle, Janet Jackson, they did some happy songs. They did look at Whitney Houston, The Greatest Love of All, How Will I Know, I Want to Dance with Somebody, Aretha Franklin, Respect, and Freeway of Love, and Who's Zooming Who. Those are songs that get you kind of dancing. Knew You Was Waiting for Me. Patti LaBelle did the song from Beverly Hills Cop, Stir It Up. Those are songs that kind of get you. But Toni Braxton's songs, a lot of her songs dealt with relationships and heartbreak, but yet and still, it wasn't depressive. It wasn't something that depressed you. You know, so that's just, and that's a good thing because not too many people can pull that off. So with that being said, you know, Toni Braxton, how good is she actually? She's one of the best of all time. I mean, just her debut album alone and how it started at a low ranking. And then once she performed, once she let people know what she's about by performing in front of everybody, in front of the media, in front of people, her album shot up from number 7 to number 1. And that debut album, it garnered her many accolades and many awards and stuff like that. So it wasn't just an album that we just remember, a good song or whatever. It contributed a lot to her success and made her a household name and an iconic name in the R&B industry, and one of the most influential and iconic female R&B vocalists of all time. So Toni Braxton was good. I mean, I liked her debut album. I still listen to it to this day. I had the cassette twice. I no longer have it. I had the CD one time. I loaned that out, so I don't have that anymore. So only thing I can do is listen to Toni Braxton songs on YouTube, and I got a shirt to kind of commemorate, you know, those things that I had at one point. So she's one of my top 5 female vocalists, or it'd be R&B or pop or whatever. She's definitely up there. You know, there's people that said that there was a thing called Versus a few years ago, specifically during the pandemic. You had different artists that would battle and whatever. A lot of people said that they would love to see Toni Braxton battle Mary J. Blige. You know, Mary J. Blige is another person that I like, another female vocalist I like. Not really a big fan of Mary J. Blige, but I like some of her songs. But Toni Braxton, like I said, she's right up there with Aretha, Whitney, you know, Anita Baker, Sade, some of my favorite ones. And even some 31 years later after her debut album, I still rock Toni Braxton's debut album. I liked her second album, Secret, which I believe was released in 1995 or 1996. I don't recall the year. I like some of the songs on that, but you know, her debut album always has a place in my heart. It will always have a place in my heart. So with that being said, Toni Braxton was good. I mean, her accomplishments, her accolades, her influence on the R&B community speaks volumes of how good she is. So I hope you enjoyed this installment of my entertainment series. And until next time, be good. Peace.